Hello guys, sorry I'm late. I had some issues with the camera. Anyway, I hope it's fixed and let's start. So if you guys been following for a while now, I've been talking about the situation in Iran and the fact that they are running out of water. So what happened is that we have a report that was released in the Middle East Forum that talks about exactly what is going on in Iran, the situation there, and the fact that they're running out of water. And we're gonna go through it, especially since it's my report as well. So I'll tell you the behind the scenes a bit later. I wasn't the main writer. I was the main. I just told you there are issues with the camera. I'm so sorry. I hope it will get better. I hope so. If you guys have any clues, ideas how to fix it, please let me know. Anyway, now we are seeing that there is so much activity that when it comes to Iran and everything that's going on there. I'm not gonna focus on that during this. I heard it's supposed to rain there. I actually rained today. It's been such a dry season still. And I've been thinking about all the rain that we weren't receiving here in Israel. And then it made me remember this joke. I don't know if you guys know it. When there is a genie and he comes to this woman and he says, hey, make whatever wish you want. But there is just one thing that you need to know. Whatever you wish, your husband will get 10 times more. Any riches, any beauty, whatever you wish for. See, this is an issue. I don't know why it keeps happening, honestly. Attached. I guess there is a problem with the last attachment. Do you guys know how to fix it? Does anyone here? Please let me know. Okay, let me try. This my computer camera instead. I'm so sorry. All right, so maybe it looks like you have mode on. Maybe I don't know what's the issue here. Anyway, here is the thing with the water situation in Iran. And the joke, I wanted to tell a joke. Okay, so it's been raining a little bit today. I kind of wish it to rain more, and it hasn't been raining. And we're in the middle of November, and for some reason the rain isn't really coming. It was a little bit like a spit here and there once a month, and then it goes away. Basically, that's the rain situation here right now. And okay, so here's the joke I had in mind when I was thinking about how I kind of wanted to rain more properly. I thought, so there is this genie who comes to the wife and says, everything, whatever you get, the husband is gonna get 10 times more, riches and beauty, whatever. And she's like, oh, no problem, no problem, no problem. There is no problem. So I want to be beautiful. I want to be rich. I want to be whatever. And then just in the end, the third wish was, of course, I want a little insignificant heart attack. So I've been thinking, okay, it doesn't rain here, and it's unpleasant for Israel. But if it's true all over the Middle East, then Iran is right now getting a huge heart attack. Yeah, sorry for this kind of sense of humor, kind of really unforgivable kind of sense of humor. It's Gemara, if you pray for others, it helps you. Well, what does it say then? Hi. All right, so here's the situation in Iran I want to share with you. Let me share. All right, so, Tehran is running dry. This is the Middle East report details Iran's terminal water crisis. Iran has entered a state of permanent water bankruptcy in which national demand far exceeds renewable supply. So the population had grown really fast in Iran. They had been building wells illegally. They've been using groundwater way more than they should have. And they did whatever they could to make sure they're gonna run out of water, basically. Everything. They choose the wrong crops. They choose the wrong irrigation system. They build dams where dams shouldn't be, and they didn't build dams where dams should be. They basically no thinking of the future. Now they're talking about moving the capital, Tehran, out of Tehran because the ground is sinking. The ground is sinking in many places in Iran. And the situation is unpleasant, to say the least. For the record, this is happening all over the Middle East. And I'm thinking, I've made a video a long time ago asking whether Turkey is going to be the next Iran. And Turkey is trying and behaves more and more as if they want to take Iran's place in the world, in their job, basically, in being troublemakers all over. But Turkey is also, they're also placed like, they're also running, there are water issues even there, which is crazy. So water issue is crazy all over the Middle East. But yeah, Iran is Iranian population, a lot of them are really trying to fight against it. So not against the situation, but against the Iranian government and things like that. So it's a problematic situation that they're at. So here is why I focus on Iran. So the real reason I chose to focus on Iran is that 30% of Iranians are fanatic Islamists, which sounds bad. It sounds like, why would it make you focus on Iran? Well, because if I focus on Jordan, it's 90% like fanatic Islamists. Egypt, like any, like, you know, so it's like Iran has a large as a majority of people who are sane. So that's why I focus on Iran. The rest of the Middle East. Anyway, that's a sidetrack, and I've been distracted with the fact that my camera was not working. So I kind of feel like in an ideal world, I could have started over going through this. But I just want you guys to know that the link on the report is in the description below. If you guys are interested to understand how a nation had managed to, this is the report, by the way. And the other, what I showed you before, it was the press release, how a nation managed to dig itself out of water. So you have agriculture corrupt, and by the way, it's all over, right? So it goes through, it's whether sometimes you have tap in the water, but then you don't have electricity. Sometimes you have electricity, but there is no water. Sometimes you have water and electricity, but there is no fuel. Everything is falling apart. And sometimes you have all those three, but for some reason there is no food because there is also an agricultural collapse. So they chosen to grow crops that demand a lot of water. Their whole agricultural system is unsustainable. And they have zero water scarcity education in Iran. And I thought I'd be more like, okay, let me read through it, but I'll just talk, you know, to go through it, especially since I have another life today where I'm going to go more into things that are going on. Here, I just want to talk about the water, that the 0 day basically came and the situation is dire. And they had been like waiting for the rainy season so that they would have like, it gave them like a breather. But it looks like the rainy season is not going to be enough. So originally they thought, okay, they managed to, I thought they're going to crush I thought they're gonna go down before, like in the end of October, or like something like that. Like in my estimates when I initially started that report, that was months ago. My estimate was that they're not gonna make, like, the October is gonna be, that's it, they're doomed. But then but then the rain season came, and then I talked to people from Iran, and it was like, okay, it seems like we have like a year or two before it's absolutely irredeemable. And then people, and I was like, okay, people aren't people, like, why is nobody, can you imagine like death of thirst? Like you die out of thirst. What kind of death is it? Like I was like, wouldn't that motivate people to go out and do something? And then my intel, they were like, people here are so demoralized that they literally think in terms of a week ahead. So if the water is not gonna run out completely in the next week, it's not an immediate issue for them, so they wouldn't act. So they're just living and trying to survive just week by week. And the other thing is that they have been convinced that there is basically nothing that they could do about the water, so that it doesn't matter who is in charge. So this is way beyond what is happening here in the report. I'm just giving you some data that is a bit more on the human side. They've basically been convinced that even if, like, somebody else comes, there is nothing they could do with the water systems. And the Persian TV, what they do is, when they're being asked about, okay, what about Netanyahu? What about the Israelis? The Israelis are saying, like, they could help, they could do something about the water, and they're saying, oh, they're lying. There is absolutely no way that they could do anything about it. Like, it has nothing to do with, like, the Israelis. Like, and then I talked to one of those newscast people, and I told him, and he was like, yeah, nobody believes that Israel could help. And I said, what do you mean? He said, like it's a water system, it's complicated. You need to know how it's built, you need to know how it's functioning, what goes where. And I was like, what do you mean? Israel built it. And he was like, there isn't a Persian person that knows that. And I said, he said, like, yeah, like during the Shah times, they asked help from the UN, and then the UN helped people, and people were like, to build the water systems in Iran. And I said, like, a lot of that water system, a lot of the water systems, not necessarily the dams, but a lot. I mean, I'm not sure what is what, but a lot of it was planned by Israelis. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, that when the Iranians, so first during the Shah's time, the Israelis were like, hey, we are kind of good with water. Let us help. And the Shah was like, no, it's not gonna, like, it's a problematic thing for me to have Israel manage the water. So he went to the UN and asked the UN for help with water management. And the UN had sent over Israeli experts. I was like, you got Israelis. And then after, the UN was sending Israeli experts to help with Iran, but not as official, not as this is Israel helping. This is the UN helping. It just, oh wait. It just happens. Something started. This is a music coming from somewhere. Ugh. All right. And yeah, so okay, so it was like the UN that sent the Israelis, and then the more they worked with different companies, the more they realized, the Shah realized, like, no matter what official country they work with, in the end of the day, like, the people who come are Israelis. was like, okay. It's like, of course I'm German. What do you mean? Yes, I'm a German person from Morocco. Yeah. But and then so I was like, like I don't think Israel would claim to have enough knowledge to help Iran without actually having a way to do that, honestly, even though it's getting worse and worse. So the chances of it getting, it's like the more they wait, the worse it's going to be, the harder it's going to be to fix it. So yeah, and you see the water political economy of collapse, the water mafia, and the IRGC. So one thing that a lot of people are talking about is the fact that the Iranian government, for some reason, even though they have such a water crisis, they continue investing funds into rockets and into ballistic missiles, and not necessarily to try to fix the water situation. But how much of the population is the IRGC? As far as the IRGC is concerned, right? 50 years ago, the Iranian population was like maybe 20 million people. I'm not sure the exact amount, but like the growth is insane, the population growth. Let me just check exactly. Here on population. Now it's 92, and yeah, okay. So in the 1950s, it was 16 million. In 1950, when the let's say 9, it was, let's say, 38 million. So the population growth was dramatic. So here is the IRGC mindset. They control the mafia waters control the water. And by the way, this is what I'm looking at here. So this is the Iranian population. So if you look at this graph, you can see, okay, that they have the water mafias that belong to the IRGC. And basically what it means is that there are like, how many people do we actually need? So the water mafias are going to make sure that they have water, and the rest of the population just can go pfeifen, it's going to be like, even now they are securing the water trucks. It's like, it's a very expensive, a very important resource. So there are people who would get the resource, which is the people who are the regime. And then there are people who would have to pray for rain, I guess. So yeah, decline like the insanity. Basically, everything's collapsing. There is definitely a domino effect. All right. Do you guys have any questions? Rebecca, what you don't get is I can actually drink missiles. The way the Israelis say is like they have a lot of oil to drink. They can drink their resources, yeah. So everything is going towards down. Okay, are there any questions? I'm just waiting for questions before I'm gonna wrap it up. And just letting you know that this is here for you to review, for you to, if you guys are interested. Oh, how much toxicity increased by reduction of groundwater? Not just toxicity, also diseases like cholera. Yeah. Yeah. By the way, toxicity is something that I think we're seeing in Egypt. So, any predictions on Venezuela? It's an interesting. So Venezuela, it's an interesting question because Mexico is the number one problem. But okay, sure. If Venezuela is easier, then go to Venezuela. I don't know. The Americans just don't seem to finish the job anywhere lately. Maybe there would be a miracle. It's like swift and fast. So this is basically the report. And they had now banished all the Afghans from the country, as if it has anything to do with anything. As if they were spies for Israel, the Afghans. Yeah. Cumulative method. I think I technically I have videos and I've talked about all of those things before. It's just nice that it's such a beautiful report up here in the Middle East form. All right. Think it seems like there aren't a lot of questions. A lot of people want to talk about Venezuela, but that's going to be the next live. All right, guys. So see you in the next live. The next live is going to be more free form. It's going to be talking about a lot of things that are happening in politics and also the uprising in Iran, which I thought I do now. But on a second thought, I was like, maybe there's going to be way more information in a couple of hours than there is now. So I'm kind of excited to see if something happens. I just thought that if I'd do that and then another thing would pop in, then it would be like, All right. Can you forward? You mean make it earlier? I'll try. I'll try to make it earlier. All right. I think that's fair. I think in India it's kind of late, right? All right. See you soon.